or a group of partners, producing a limited amount of goods mostly for the local market. The second half of the 19th century was a period of great industrial growth for the United States. It talks about that, and we're going to skip a few paragraphs, although it's interesting and valuable. Industrial trends since 1900. American industry continued to expand in the 20th century. Technological advances and improved machinery increased productivity and enabled manufacturers to offer the public an ever-growing variety of reasonably priced, mass-produced goods. Large sums were spent to build better and larger production facilities, improve existing products and develop new ones, and stimulate buying through the use of advertising. Skipping down a bit, the rise of corporations. Small privately owned enterprises lacked the financial resources to build huge factories, purchase expensive machinery, or extend their markets nationally and internationally. To enable companies to raise large amounts of working capital, the corporate form of business came into use in the 19th century. Corporation has replaced the single proprietorship and the partnership as the prevailing form of business organization. Now, that's true that corporations are more efficient, that they have a larger, a better source of capital. If so, why would the government encourage farmers to own their own farms? Isn't that backward? Okay, going on to the next page, it says advantages of big business and then disadvantages of big business. Let's find out what the advantages and disadvantages are. There's just two little paragraphs here. Big business is able to provide the consumer with new and improved products and services at reduced prices. It can do so because it has the financial resources, 1, to build modern efficient plants, 2, to acquire up-to-date specialized machinery, 3, to purchase raw materials in large quantities, 4, to conduct scientific research, 5, to establish a nationwide or worldwide distribution network, 6, to convert industrial waste materials into useful byproducts, and 7, to increase sales through advertising. Now, 6 is an interesting one, to convert industrial waste materials into useful byproducts. Did you know that the beef that you buy at the store is cheaper than the beef that goes into the packing house? This has been true ever since the city of Chicago became the city of big shoulders in the 1800s, and it was discovered by the meat packers that they could centralize meat packing and use all of the hair and the bones and the cowhide and even the blood. The cow's blood could be used for lots of purposes. All kinds of chemicals and stuff come out of cow's blood. The horns can be turned into all kinds of things, buttons and hooves and stuff turned into buttons and glue. The hair can be used to stuff cushions, all kinds of stuff. Now, someone who slaughters 2 cows a week can't do that, or 4 cows or 10 cows a week. The local slaughterhouse here, your dad takes his cow down there and they slaughter it for him and package it up, sell half of it and give him half and pay him for the stuff they took. They go out of business because they can't pay a high enough price to compete with the big factories. The factories are able to pay that same price, but the factories don't have to make very much on their meat. The factories, they can charge very low prices on their meat. The low cost, actually, and all of the profits they make come from the products made from blood, hair, hide, etc. So it's there are big advantages to big business, big advantages. So here's the synthesis of that thought. People in America eat beef for free. Have done so since the 1800s. It doesn't cost any more to get beef than it costs the farmer to raise it. The corporations kill the beef, package it, put it in the store, and give it to us at cost. And they make money off of the blood and hair and bones and stuff. We get beef at cost. It's free. The only way it can get cheaper is subsidy, which subsidies are expensive. So it couldn't get cheaper, really. Okay, advantages of big business, fine. Now what about the disadvantages? However, big businesses also have effects that are harmful to the economy and the consumer. It tends to, one, become monopolistic. Let's just take it for granted that that's bad. Two, it destroys competition, as if that's not a corollary or implication of number one, and as if that's bad. I mean, any company in a free economy has to destroy its competition, or just live alongside it. But that's what you're trying to do, is take away their business so that your business is bigger. Drive out small businesses. Oh no, we wouldn't want big corporations to be more efficient. Oh man. So the disadvantage of big business is it drives out small businesses? Wrong. That's not a disadvantage. But 4, it concentrates enormous wealth and power in the hands of a few. Now why is that bad? What if those few are frickin' geniuses? What if they're going to benefit everybody else in society more than than if that wealth were distributed evenly? Genius ought to have $1 billion at their disposal. Geniuses used to walk around like the rest of everybody else and say, gee, I wish I could do this or that, and people say, you're dreaming, you're crazy. Nowadays, people can get hold of lots of money and they can do things that other people tell them they're crazy for. So concentration of enormous wealth and power in the hands of a few is not bad, contrary to this just bald assertion. And 5, they wield excessive power over government officials, which wouldn't be a problem if the government didn't have any power in the economy. See, get the government out of the economy, and then the economy doesn't have to buy government favors, government protection. So none of those are true. There's 5 disadvantages to big business, all of which are fallacies. All 5 of which are fallacies. And most of these 5 fallacies, you could invert them and say, not only is it not true, but it's actually the opposite of not true. It's a virtue. It's a good thing. Like big business becomes monopolistic. There's really nothing wrong with that. We all want Bill Gates and Apple to be the 2 computer companies, the 2 computer operating systems. Otherwise, other systems would come into being. And they have. Linux is there. Apple and Microsoft are increasingly compatible. And we don't want Microsoft to be the only company because we want high-end computers yet. We want all of our computers to be compatible. That's why Microsoft has got such predominance in society, because we want it. So the fact that they become monopolistic, what if Microsoft were just restricted to the East Coast? We had to come up with something for the West Coast, and there was no linking interchange because monopolism was totally illegal. Wow. Then that would be a bad thing. So how's it a disadvantage if they become monopolistic? That's just an example. We won't go over them all, but what a bunch of ass. Okay, now to chapter, part 3 of the book, The New Deal. Okay, FDR takes steps to combat the Great Depression. When Roosevelt assumed the presidency in March 1933, the nation was in the midst of the greatest peacetime crisis in its history. In his first inaugural address, Roosevelt asserted that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, and declared that the people, in their need, have registered a mandate that they want direct, vigorous action. Calling for a New Deal for the forgotten man at the bottom of the economic period, he launched a program of relief, recovery, reform. Its objectives were to provide emergency assistance to the needy, end the existing depression, and prevent the recurrence of similar problems in the future. To ease the banking crisis and effect financial reforms, what they do? So there's a banking crisis. FDR's first official act as president in 1933 was to proclaim a national bank holiday. Forced banks to stop doing business. You know what happens when a fast food restaurant or something closes for a day? It doesn't get any money. It doesn't do any business. And that's all there is to it. So it's forcing them to lose money.